Fraser Macklemore straightened his tie and brushed his hands down the front of his suit before pushing open the door of the business director's office at Philly Group.
"How many times have I told you?" snapped a voice from within. "Knock on the door before you come in. How hard is that to remember?"
"My wife, can you stop reminding me of the rules?" he asked, smiling bitterly. He had anticipated the scolding, but it had still hurt. Natalia Laplace, the business director of the real estate group, glared at her husband.
"You know, because I'm your wife, I've tried to cut you some slack. You've been working here for 3 months, and I've tried to get your name out there. Tell me, how many properties have you sold?"
Fraser shuffled his feet uncomfortably and said nothing.
"You haven't brought in even a single customer," she went on. "What have you been doing? Just sitting around like you do at home? With the current housing market situation, even a fool would be better than you."
Hearing the volume of his wife's scolding, Fraser immediately closed the door behind him. At the very least, he couldn't let others hear the embarrassing firing he was a victim of.
"Why do you bother shutting the door?" she asked mockingly. "Even if you shut the door, it's not like everyone doesn't know how much of a joke you are."
She shook her head in disgust.
"I was really blind when I married you."
Natalia's heart ached as she said these words. She felt wronged. The two of them had been college sweethearts. Natalia had been at the top of her class and could have had her choice of suitors. However, in the end, she had chosen Fraser. Fraser sat with big dreams for his career. After graduation, he even started his own business. Unfortunately, it had failed. He hadn't recovered from the failure. Instead, he stayed home and cared for the household. He would cook and clean while Natalia worked. He had done that for 3 years, until Natalia's family couldn't watch him being unable to bring in a more considerable income. They had given Fraser an ultimatum. He needed to find a job with a salary of at least $10,000 a month. San Clemente, California was a beautiful town, but there weren't many jobs that could pay that much. Thus, Natalia had no choice but to swallow her pride and offer him a job in the sales department at a real estate company, where she was the business director, the Philly Group. Now, as Fraser stood in Natalia's office, she had come to regret that decision. Fraser didn't reply for a long time. He glanced uncomfortably at her. His heart softened, but he still felt helpless.
"Natalia," he begged. "It's not that I don't want to work hard. It's that the sales manager always steals my customers."
The sales manager hates me, he thought. The whole department hates me. That's why, from day one, I haven't been able to keep a customer.
"Fraser, how many times have I told you? You need to learn how to be objective. Take some initiative and responsibility."
Natalia spoke with a firm voice. He sighed. Very well. I'll try harder, I promise." She glared at him and then passed him a piece of paper with 2 phone numbers on it.
"I don't believe that," she said coldly. "I'd rather believe that pigs can fly. Look, I'll try to help you out again. I've already talked with these 2 clients."
She used her chin to indicate the numbers on the paper.
"You just need to contact them,"
she said with an evident look of hopelessness. Fraser felt a burst of embarrassment, but he was also touched. His wife always had a sharp tongue but a soft heart. After taking the piece of paper, he dejectedly left her office. As soon as he stepped out of the door, he heard laughter erupting from the previously quiet sales department. A salesperson, Tarson Linster, quickly grabbed a cloth and began wiping down a desk before running over and passing the cloth to Fraser.
"Macklemore, come on! Hurry up and get back to work! You're so good at housework." Please tidy up the office.
Tarson laughed mockingly at Fraser before saying,
I don't understand you. Director Laplace makes plenty of money. She can support you just fine. Why don't you run on home and get back to your classic housework and cooking? Why are you trying to steal work from the rest of us? You're worthless here. Scram, Tarson.
Joe Parker, one of the higher-up salespeople, pushed the salesperson away. Fraser didn't trust Joe any more than he trusted Tarson. Joe always acted as the manager's spy. He had directly taken customers from Fraser on countless occasions.
Ouch!
Tarson complained, continuing to say,
Come on, Joe. Why don't you push him out instead? All you have to do is hit him, and he'll leave.
Tarson had a cruel look on his face, and even took a step closer. Fraser was used to their provocation, but it didn't mean he liked it. He glared at the two men and then turned around and headed to his desk.
Bah!
Joe spat out as Fraser walked away.
That trash is really giving our department a bad name.
When the mocking voices faded and everyone started to get back to work, Fraser unfolded the note Natalia had given him. However, just as he was about to call the first number on the list, a large, middle-aged man walked over to stand beside his desk. Fraser peered up into the irritated face of his manager, Peter Earle. Peter glared condescendingly at Fraser before asking,
Macklemore, who gave you permission to use your personal cell phone on company time?
I'm calling a client, Fraser said shortly.
Oh, really?
Peter sneered.
Do you really think that you'll succeed in making a sale? Why are you so stubborn?
Peter waved his arm toward the other salespeople.
Look at them. They can sell a property every few days. Then we have you. You're worthless. If it wasn't for the fact that your wife is the boss, I would have fired you long ago. Do you really think you can earn the same salary as those guys for doing nothing?
After his rant, Peter glanced at the two phone numbers on the piece of paper and grinned evilly.
Macklemore, this is your last chance, he said,
issuing an ultimatum.
If you can sell 100 properties by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can stay. I'll even give you a promotion. If you don't, you can pack your stuff and leave.
Peter closed his warning with an evil grin. A murmur went through the sales department as everyone heard the almost impossible task on Fraser's hands. Although the employees knew that Peter was determined to get rid of Fraser, they never expected him to be so ruthless by demanding the young man to sell 100 properties in less than 24 hours. The most that the department had ever sold was a combined effort among the entire staff to sell 89 properties in 2 weeks. Selling 100 in a day was an unrealistic goal. News of the challenge quickly spread through the entire building. Soon after, Natalia also heard the news and rushed out of her office. Although she knew that Peter was deliberately making things difficult for Fraser, and she didn't like it, she still greeted her sales manager with a forced smile.
Mr. Earle, aren't you being a little impractical? She asked. Do you think those numbers are actually—
Don't say anything, Peter interrupted Natalia coldly.
Director Laplace, it was because of that idiot that our sales department became the laughingstock of the Philly group, and even the entire San Clemente real estate industry. Therefore, I have a responsibility to my team that can't be avoided.
Peter stood up straight and announced,
By 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, if your useless husband can't sell 100 properties, then he'll be kicked out, and you'll be dragged along with him. Of course, in the meantime, feel free to help him out.
He's going to need it.
Looking at Peter's malicious smile, Fraser had the urge to punch the man in the smug face. But when he saw Natalia's unsteady feet, he rushed forward to support her. Are you all right? He asked softly. Natalia was still in a daze. She had come to the company soon after graduating from college and had worked hard to reach her current position. Now, in the blink of an eye, it could all be lost because of the ultimatum to her husband. Have all these years of hard work just gone down the drain? She wondered. If I lose my job over this, how will we support ourselves? Will I have to rely on my useless husband? This joke was quickly becoming not funny at all. The more Natalia thought about it, the angrier she got. She almost slapped Fraser. Everything is going wrong because of you, she snapped. Oh? Natalia, what's wrong? Are you angry again? Asked a voice from behind them. When Fraser turned and saw the young man who walked in from outside, his expression darkened. The young man was dressed extravagantly. Even the sunglasses he wore were worth hundreds of dollars. He was Mose Fairlin, a junior executive of the Philly Group. During Fraser's 3 months in his new position, he had seen Mose harass his wife countless times. It was a good thing that Natalia had some keen observation skills and could defend herself. Every time Mose tried to pester her, she was able to avoid his moves with great ingenuity and rationality. Regardless, it was annoying, and now that he had appeared at this awkward moment, Fraser had a bad feeling. Director Laplace, what's going on? Mose asked in a strange tone. Before Natalia could respond, Peter stepped up and immediately explained the situation. Mose nodded and agreed, but paused thoughtfully before asking. But, Mr. Earl, aren't you being a little too heartless? Especially by involving our lovely Director Laplace in your threat? Mose thought about it for a while and came to a conclusion, saying, How about this? Let me take care of this little situation for now. Immediately, Mose's gaze turned to Natalia as he sized her up suggestively. Natalia, you've worked hard to get where you are with the company. I appreciate your hard work. You should understand this, even without me saying anything. Have dinner with me tomorrow evening, and we'll talk about how we're going to proceed. Perhaps I can think of a way for you to get a promotion. I think it's supposed to be cold tomorrow, so be sure to bring your stockings. He smiled provocatively. Natalia bit her lip. She clearly knew what Mose was suggesting. Fraser wasn't stupid either. He naturally understood the hidden meaning behind the junior executive's words. Do you think I don't exist? Fraser exclaimed. He could let a lot of things slide, but when it came to his wife and her dignity, there was no way he could tolerate such an innuendo. Fraser was about to explode, but Natalia suddenly stopped him. Stop it, Fraser! Don't you think you've caused me enough trouble already? She turned away before anyone could see the embarrassment on her face. She was confused and didn't know what to do. Glancing at Fraser again, Mose grinned. He leaned over and whispered, I might as well tell you. I've taken a fancy to your wife and plan to sleep with her. Someone like you can't stop me because you simply can't compete. Mose left with a burst of laughter while Fraser kept his head down. He dug his fingernails angrily into the flesh of his palms. Mose had completely embarrassed him and trampled all over his dignity. Later that evening, after Fraser had left work, he stood on the bridge and watched the flow of traffic below, his mind lost in thought. As his thoughts coalesced, his gaze grew colder and more determined. No matter how wrong I am, I can still endure it, he muttered to himself. But if anyone goes after Natalia, all bets are off. I'll personally send them to hell. He took out his phone, found a number he hadn't used in years, and clicked on the call icon. The phone quickly connected, and an excited voice could be heard from the other end of the line.
When I picked up my phone and saw who was calling, I couldn't believe it. Is it really you, my young friend? You finally called. Did you know I—
Uncle Sam. Fraser interrupted the person on the other end of the line. I'm in some trouble right now. I need your help.
What?
Uncle Sam cried.
Is someone trying to harm you? I'll send—
No, Fraser interrupted. It's not that troublesome. I only need money to solve this problem. I need a few $1 million.
Oh, you gave me a fright.
Old Sam sighed in relief.
Oh, forget about the money. Whatever amount you need, it's yours.
He hesitated and then began.
But—
There's no need to say anything else, Fraser interrupted. I understand that since I'm asking for help, my agreement to separate myself from the family will become invalid. However, I can't return just yet.
Really?
Uncle Sam was excited to hear Fraser's words. He had been waiting to hear them for years.
Good. This won't be a problem. As long as you agree to return to the family, everything is fine. You know, amongst all the successors in the Macklemore family, the one your father values the most is you.
Fraser became silent for a moment. He really didn't want to talk about this topic. He cleared his throat and tried to get the conversation back on track. How long until the money gets here? You should still know my private account information. However, Uncle Sam was still going on about the family.
Fraser, I won't hide it from you. After your father found out that you were in San Clemente, he secretly purchased the largest company there, the Robster Corporation, in your name. You have plenty of money. You can just go and take over the company.
Hearing that, Fraser pursed his lips. It seemed that even though he had been away from home for many years, his father was still thinking about him. Otherwise, according to the nature of the Macklemore family, they wouldn't have even considered buying a business in a place as small as San Clemente. Uncle Sam went on.
You should also know that one of the members of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce also has ties to the family. In addition, your family has ties with several other businesses in the area as well.
Okay, thanks for the heads up, Fraser said shortly. We'll talk again soon. After hanging up, Fraser took out a pack of cheap cigarettes, lit one up, and took a long drag. He sighed. Ugh. It looks like the days ahead are going to be far from peaceful, he thought. Members of the wealthy class never seemed to be able to escape from their obligations. Fraser had chosen to leave his family because he didn't want to live a life of deception. But now, he had to face it bravely because his wife was being bullied. After letting out a long puff of smoke, he put out the cigarette and tossed it into the garbage. He then got into his car and drove to a corporate headquarters building across town. It was one of the largest companies in San Clemente, and he had been here many times during the past 3 months because he had been in charge of distributing and putting up flyers. The 2 women who worked at the front desk always gave him a hard time. After parking the car, Fraser walked into the lobby on the first floor and was immediately noticed by the 2 women. "Fraser, it's you again!" one of the young ladies snapped. "You really have some nerve coming here again and again," the other announced coldly. "Well, don't come in. You're not allowed here anymore. Look at the notice." She pointed at the board behind her, which had a black and white photo of Fraser mounted on it. Take a good look, the first woman said indignantly. You've been put on our blacklist. I designed this announcement myself. How about that?
Fraser craned his head and saw that under his photo there was a short blurb. He read it silently. Fraser, a useless salesperson at the Philly Group, has repeatedly snuck into our office area to distribute unwanted flyers. This worthless person, whose wife has repeatedly cheated on him, is not welcome in the building. Recently, the women's restroom has been subjected to a peeping Tom, and we suspect that Fraser is the culprit. As such, he's been put on the company's blacklist. If anyone sees him on the premises, contact security or a staff member immediately. After reading the description, Fraser frowned and thought, if they don't want me to put up flyers, that's fine. But why drag my name through the mud? Fraser took a deep breath and resisted the urge to lower himself to the level of the two women at the desk. He ignored the notice and said coolly, "Tell Mr. Wilson that I would like to see him. Now."
"Who's here to see Mr. Wilson?"
asked a voice from behind him. At that moment, a balding middle-aged man walked out of the elevator. When he saw Fraser, he heaved a sigh and said,
"Oh, so it's you. What are you doing here? Still trying to sell properties?"
The man walked up to Fraser and sneered.
Maybe you're trying to sell your own property? Isn't it on the smaller side? Do you think my boss would like that? You're a fool."
One of the women at the desk piped up.
Mr. Cole, I agree. Do you want me to call security?
She reached for the desk phone and started pressing the buttons. Fraser narrowed his eyes, snorted quietly, and then he smiled. He took a step back and sat down on the couch in the waiting area. Mr. Cole and the others stared at him in surprise.
Well, you're right about one thing, Fraser said calmly. I'm here today to sell my house to your boss. In fact, I don't want to sell one property. I want to sell him 100.
With that, Fraser took out his cell phone and directly called Henry Wilson, the corporation's president. His tone was full of arrogance as he ordered Henry to meet him in the lobby on the first floor within 3 minutes. Fraser's actions made the manager, Robert Cole, and the two front desk staff freeze in shock. They looked at Fraser and how he was dressed and marveled at his audacity. One of the women began to snicker. Soon, the three of them started to laugh at Fraser. Robert was overjoyed at the foolishness of the young man.
You want to sell the boss 100 properties? I'll tell you what. If you successfully sell Mr. Wilson your properties, I'll kneel down and lick your shoes in front of everyone.
As soon as he said that, a team of security guards rushed in. Robert was in no mood to waste any more words on Fraser. He impatiently waved his hand.
Take him away. Not you again.
One of the guards cried as he recognized Fraser.
You may have gotten away from us last time, but you won't escape so easily this time.
Both guards advanced on Fraser as they pulled out their nightsticks to give him a beating. He stood and watched them step closer, a somber expression on his face. One of the security guards took a swing at him, but Fraser dodged it. The nightstick swung by him and smashed onto a glass-topped coffee table. The glass shattered.
All of you stop,
shouted a stern voice from nearby. The security guards froze, as did everyone else.
Mr. Wilson, cried Robert in surprise. What are you doing here? Can I help you with anything?
All eyes turned to the front desk, where Henry Wilson was standing, watching the unprofessional scene unfolding before him with disdain. Robert turned to give Fraser a stern look as he asked,
Why are you still standing there, Fraser? Get lost!
Henry's eyes widened in shock when he heard Fraser's name, and he stared at the young man before him.
It's him, he thought in wonder. It's really him. Get lost, Henry snapped. You're the ones who should get lost, you fools.
He looked around at Robert and the others, his expression livid.
You're a bunch of idiots. Do you know who he is?
Henry was dumbstruck. Fraser jumped in to interrupt. He didn't want too many people to know his identity just yet. Mr. Wilson, I presume. I hope that you're available tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to personally come to the sales department of the Philly Group to purchase 100 properties. Robert stared in shock. Had Fraser really asked his boss to purchase so many properties? He found himself even more startled a few moments later when Mr. Wilson spoke.
No problem, Mr. McElmore. I'll make sure to be there on time.
The onlookers gasped and murmured to one another. Fraser turned his gaze on the stunned manager. Well now, Mr. Cole, I'm an honorable man. I don't think there's any need for you to kneel down and lick my shoes. Your mouth is too dirty and smelly anyway. He glanced at his watch and saw that it was almost 6. He mumbled something incoherent about cooking dinner and hurried out. Henry watched in consternation as the young man left.
Was he actually saying something about having to cook dinner?
He mused.
Why would someone of his power need to go home and cook something?
He started to call out to the young man questioningly, but saw that he had already sped away.
Mr. Wilson, are you sure about all this? Came a voice from beside him. That man, Fraser, is just not trustworthy. Maybe it's a mistake.
Henry turned his cold glare on Robert.
I think you're the one who has made a mistake. Head to accounting and collect your last paycheck. You will not be coming back tomorrow. That's all.
After saying that, Henry left without looking back. Robert watched the president of the company walk away from him.
He just fired me, Robert thought in a sulking state.
His face paled as he looked around at the 2 women at the desk. They stared back at him. One of them quickly tore down the blacklist. The remaining fear in their hearts had yet to disappear. Both women were thinking the same thing. Who exactly is that guy? Fraser? The moment Fraser entered the house, Natalia's family was on his case.
Do you see what time it is? Are you deliberately making your family starve?
Asked James, Natalia's older brother and Fraser's brother-in-law. Dorothy, Natalia's mother, who was busy in the kitchen, stuck her head out and said,
You're worthless. Do you think you're too good to cook for us anymore? Are you too good for this family?
Mom, I went out to do something for work.
You what?
Natalia cried, walking in through the door right behind him. It seemed like she had been crying. Are you okay? He asked.
What?
She snapped. Before he could say anything, she stormed off to the bedroom and slammed the door. Fraser quickly finished preparing the meal before going and checking on her. He knocked and then pushed the door open. However, he found that Natalia had her head down as she was going through her stocking drawer. Recalling Moses' words from earlier that day, Fraser was instantly angered.
Natalia,
he shouted.
What are you trying to do? Are you really going to humiliate me by accepting Moses' invitation? If you want to treat me like a good-for-nothing loser, fine, but don't do it at your own expense and reputation. Are you really going to betray our relationship?
Natalia was shocked. She gaped at Fraser with her almond-shaped eyes. That was the first time in her memory that Fraser had been angry enough to shout at her. Instantly, a strong feeling of resentment rose in her heart.
Fraser, are you a man or not?
She started throwing questions at him.
How dare you be mean to me now? Have you even stopped to think about why I might be doing this? Are you really so foolish? Do you really think I would need to compromise myself like this if you had even the slightest bit of skill at your job? Was there a need to degrade me like this?
Fraser was silent and lowered his head in shame. Indeed, he was well aware of how many times Natalia had taken the flak for him during the years he had been in the family. Hearing Natalia's sobbing, Fraser's heart softened, and his anger dissipated. He tried to reach out and give her a hug to comfort her, but she pushed him away.
Don't touch me, she barked. I'm really sick of you. After enduring so many years, I'm tired of trying. If it doesn't work out, then do as my parents say. We need to get divorced.
Her voice was getting louder.
No, I won't.
Fraser shook his head stubbornly in refusal. Natalia rolled her eyes in anger. For the past 3 years, Fraser never said no to her except when the topic of divorce came up. In these cases, he would become adamant in his protests.
Natalia,
Fraser began, his tone softer. He slowly sat down by the foot of the bed, making sure that he didn't get too close to her.
Look, I know I've asked you to trust me before. Can you trust me again this time? Trust you again?
Natalia grimaced. She had already heard those words countless times, and it had convinced her of one thing. Men were liars. However, when she turned toward him and saw Fraser's serious expression, one that she had never seen before, she swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but his demeanor gave her a sense of reliability and control. Seeing that she was silent, Fraser inched closer and gently held her cold hand in his.
Natalia, do you still remember the promise I made to you? The promise that no matter what happens, I won't let you get hurt? Trust me one last time, okay? I have a surprise planned for tomorrow. Whatever you have planned, don't try it, she warned, as she pulled her hand away. There is no way you'll be able to sell 100 properties. It's impossible. Don't make empty promises.
She reached for her bag and started to stuff stockings into it. Suddenly, she paused, looking at him, and spoke with a sense of calmness kicking in.
Look, I'm not cheap or foolish. Even if I do meet with Mose tomorrow, I won't let things go too far.
With that, Natalia left the room to eat dinner with the family, leaving Fraser sitting alone on the end of the bed with a wry smile on his face.
She's being naive, he thought.
If she has dinner with Mose tomorrow, it will be like sending a lamb into a lion's den. I'm sure Mose has 100 ways to try to get her to sleep with him. After everyone gathered around the table to eat dinner, Fraser had just grabbed his fork to take a bite of food when Dorothy started to criticize him again. This time, however, she was back to urging him to divorce Natalia as soon as possible.
Fraser, the deadline we set for you is almost up, Dorothy said. You haven't even started earning what we asked you to. You're barely bringing home $1,000 a month. That's not enough to support one person, let alone two. What? You're only bringing home $1,000 a month? That's not even enough for me to buy enough cigarettes to smoke in a month.
James, Natalia's jobless brother, spoke with a look of disdain on his face. He seemed to be forgetting the fact that he himself wasn't working, and he was sitting around all day without any source of income.
Mom, James, why can't you two just drop it?
Natalia asked quietly.
Let's just try to have a peaceful meal.
You want to have a peaceful meal?
The question came from Houstus, who rarely said anything. He didn't look up as he added.
All right then. It's time for you to move out with your foolish husband.
Houstus was Natalia's father. He had been born into a wealthy family that was successful in business, the Laplace family. However, because of his poor ability, he had been kicked out of the family's main business 10 years ago and was given the job of managing an ailing company in San Clemente, also owned by the Laplace family. "What?" Natalia shouted. She was shocked and looked at her father in surprise. "Dad, are you joking?" she asked. "You want us to move out? Why?" Haustus put down his knife and fork and looked at his daughter seriously. He then looked at James, who had a smug expression on his face, and said, "Your brother has had a hard time sorting out his marriage. His fiancée has said that she doesn't like the number of people living here and that she doesn't want anyone else here except for them, your mom, and me." "Dad, you—" "Let me finish. I've considered it seriously. Your sister is still in college and has been living there for a long time. You're doing quite well, so you can at least rent a place for the two of you." Natalia was enraged. She slapped her hand on the table and asked, "Why should we? This house is 2,000 square feet, so why can't it accommodate the two of us? That woman is asking too much before she's even married. She's way too overbearing." James immediately tried to protect his fiancée. "Be careful, Natalia. That's rude. She's your future sister-in-law, so change your attitude. Also, you're already married. Just because you're married to a loser, you can't expect our entire family to support him." Finally, Haustus slammed the table with his fist and shouted, "Enough! Your mother and I only have one son, and we'll be leaving this house to him in the future." "Natalia, you're earning quite a bit now, so it's not like you can't support yourself," Dorothy chimed in. "You're being ungrateful," Natalia hissed. "I might have earned a lot, but I've paid more than my fair share into this family." Seeing that his wife's anger was building to a dangerous level, Fraser whispered to her, "Natalia, don't argue with them. It's fine if we need to find our own place." James looked appreciatively at Fraser. Previously, he was worried that Fraser was only after a stake in his inheritance. Natalia cursed angrily at her husband. "You're pathetic," she said. "You're the one who said that I shouldn't allow myself to be bullied. You're just too weak." She angrily left the table and returned to her bedroom. Fraser followed her, and soon Natalia's indignant voice could be heard again as she continued to berate her husband from the bedroom. James didn't take it to heart, but when he saw that his parents seemed pretty disappointed, he said, "Dad, Mom, don't worry about it. Let's just eat. Although Fraser is a waste of space, at least his cooking isn't so bad." Later that night, Fraser got up from bed, walked over to Natalia's bedside, and knelt next to her. He felt sorry for her when he saw that she was still frowning, even though she was asleep. There were traces of tears on her face. He stroked her hair and mumbled, "Natalia, moving out of here will be fine. Don't worry." After speaking softly, he looked at her beautiful body for a long time. He thought of how he had endured 2 years of suffering while he guarded his better half. Snapping out of his thoughts, he muttered, "I really don't know when this will all come to an end." The next day, Natalia and Fraser walked into the sales department at the Philly Group, only to find that Mose was already waiting for them. When he saw Natalia, he didn't hide the burning passion in his eyes. "Tonight, this sexy beauty in front of me will be mine," he thought. "It's crazy to think that such a beautiful woman is with that good-for-nothing loser." As he thought about it, a spicy scene of him and Natalia making love together appeared in his mind, making his whole body feel hot. Natalia glanced at Mose but didn't speak to him. Instead, she thought about the day ahead. Although she didn't believe that Fraser could really sell 100 properties, for some unknown reason she felt a tiny bit of anticipation in her heart. "Perhaps Fraser really can create miracles," she thought.
Oh, who am I kidding? Why would I believe in someone as useless as him?
However, she glanced at her watch from time to time. As long as it was before 9 o'clock, she wouldn't completely give in.
Hey, Fraser, come here,
Mose commanded. Fraser glanced at him but didn't move. Seeing that Fraser wasn't going to move, Peter looked angrily at him and was about to drag him over. Watching Peter's aggression grow, Mose waved his hand and walked over to Fraser instead.
Fraser, did I hear someone say that you were sleeping on the floor at home?
Mose asked.
Don't worry. If your wife is good enough in bed tonight, you'll get a lifetime salary here for nothing, he laughed.
Fraser's face darkened, and he clenched both of his fists tightly, making a cracking sound. He looked at Mose's sneering face and had the urge to hit him. At that moment, someone announced,
It's 10 minutes to 9. There isn't much time left. Forget about 100 properties. If he can sell 10 of them, I'll be amazed.
Many of the salespeople started to heckle Natalia, and her face turned pale. Just as she was about to give up, a middle-aged man with a large belly hurriedly walked in, followed by 4 bodyguards.
I want to buy 100 properties. Now, he said.
All the employees looked at the middle-aged man in shock. No one answered him because they all felt that they had misheard. Although he looked like a rich person, judging by his clothes, they thought he wouldn't be able to buy 100 properties in one go, no matter how rich he was. There was a lot of real estate. Henry looked impatient as he said,
Didn't anyone hear what I just said? I want to buy 100 properties, right away. I have to get everything done by 9 o'clock.
He looked around and saw that Fraser was there. When he saw that he was dressed as a salesperson, he was shocked.
When did someone so great start selling real estate? He wondered.
Fraser, who didn't want to reveal his identity at that time, walked over to Henry, smiled, and secretly gave him a wink.
Mr. Wilson, you're finally here,
said Fraser.
I've been waiting for you.
Mr. Macklemore really likes to play the role, thought Henry. Yesterday he was a cook, and now he's a salesperson.
However, he quickly realized that he would have to cooperate with him and pretend that Fraser was his subordinate.
Yes, I was a bit late because I was stuck in a traffic jam on the way here.
Everyone was shocked when they heard Henry and Fraser talking to each other in that way. Natalia also stared blankly at Fraser's back. She had recognized Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson is an important figure in San Clemente, and he's dealing with a nobody like Fraser, she thought. He said he had to complete the purchase before 9 o'clock. Surely that can't be a coincidence.
A voice in her heart told her that Fraser might really have found Henry, and she wondered what trick Fraser had used to get him there. Mose felt something was wrong, and he signaled Peter with his eyes. Peter smiled as he walked toward Henry.
Mr. Wilson, he said, I'm so sorry that we haven't welcomed you properly. Is it true that you want to purchase 100 properties from us? Yes, it is, Henry replied. You do have the properties available, don't you?
Peter nodded repeatedly and said,
Yes, absolutely. You can buy them anytime you want. Right now, there are still more than 200 properties available.
Henry waved his hand impatiently and said,
Any 100 of them is fine. There are still 8 minutes until 9, so we'll do it immediately. Okay, Peter said hesitantly,
then pushed Fraser away.
Get lost, he hissed. You're not capable of serving Mr. Wilson. Do you know how important he is? Why don't you just go and make him a coffee and leave this one to the big boys?
Henry glared at Peter and shouted,
Who do you think you are? How dare you treat him like that?
Peter was shocked that he had angered Mr. Wilson. Henry waved his hand and called out,
Is there anyone in charge here? Who is this little jerk's superior?
Everyone looked toward Mose. Mose was also dumbfounded that Fraser and Henry seemed to know each other. He couldn't believe it, even though the truth was right in front of him. He walked over stiffly. When he was face to face with Henry, whom even his father had to fawn over, he gave a forced smile and said, "Hello, Mr. Wilson. My name is Mose Ferlin, and I'm an executive here at the Philly Group. I'm in charge. May I ask—"
"Cut the crap and get someone to help me," Henry interrupted. "I brought the money, so let's get the transaction moving."
He glanced disdainfully at Peter and said,
"And I don't want to see this man again."
Peter's face turned pale as he looked at Mose.
"Yes, sir. Understood,"
Mose said quickly. He waved to Peter while instructing all the employees to go through the procedures for Henry.
"Let's go. You won't be working here anymore because you're fired," Mose said coldly.
"No! Please, no!"
shouted Peter. He begged Mose to allow him to stay. He had always been loyal to Mose, so he couldn't accept that he was being told to leave.
"Mr. Ferlin, I'm your man. You can't really want to let me go, can you? Please reconsider. I thought we were friends," he pleaded.
Mose looked Peter in the eye and said, "I like you, Peter, but I'm a businessman, and business is what counts. Compared to selling 100 properties, you're nothing. Besides, do you think I'll offend Mr. Wilson to save you? You were wrong to upset him, and now you have to pay the price." Peter was about to say something more in his defense, but Henry had already gestured to one of his bodyguards. The bodyguard nodded, grabbed Peter's arm, and dragged him out of the office. A series of screams could be heard from outside, causing many of the employees to gasp. The time was 8:59. Under the joint efforts of the staff of the sales department, the procedures for the sale of 100 properties were all completed. Henry called for his subordinates to put the contracts away without even looking at them. He then looked at Mose with a straight face and asked, "Do you know under whose name these sales should be credited?" Mose nodded reluctantly. He knew what Henry wanted and wasn't prepared to go against him. Even though he was extremely unwilling, he still smiled at Fraser and said, "I know. The sales will be credited to Fraser." When Fraser saw Mose's sullen expression, he was pleased. "Mose, my wife doesn't need to wear sexy lingerie when she eats with you tonight, right?" Mose's face turned red as he heard the sniggering around him. He glared at Fraser and shook his head. "There's no need. I was just joking," he said. At that moment, Natalia walked over and bit her lip as she looked at Fraser with an enigmatic expression.
"Fraser sold 100 properties for the company. So how are you going to reward him?" asked Fraser.
"Don't worry, Mr. Wilson. I'll send the commission to him right now. According to the price, it should be given at the rate of 100 to 200% of the standard rate of the commission." In no time, Fraser's phone received a message. Natalia snatched the phone from his hand and opened the message. It contained the details of his commission, which was $300,000. She covered her mouth in excitement. It was her first time seeing someone earn so much money in one go. Her good-for-nothing husband had finally succeeded. As he looked at Natalia's excited face, Fraser smiled. The meticulous Henry could even see the traces of love in his smile.
"It seems like Mr. Macklemore isn't just playing with this woman. He really likes her," he thought. "This Ferlin guy actually wants to seduce Fraser's wife and believes that his work performance isn't good enough. Let's see what I can do about that."
He looked at Mose coldly and said,
"I feel that your sincerity isn't good enough yet." "Not good enough? Mr. Wilson, as a token of your gratitude to Fraser, you should apologize to him properly.
Apologize properly, cried Mose. He was horrified, and the other employees looked shocked. Mr. Wilson, you're asking too much of me. I'd rather not sell 100 properties to you than to apologize to this loser, Mose said with a dark expression. So you won't do it, Henry said. He then opened his phone and called Victor Ferlin, who was head of the Philly group and Mose's father. After Victor found out what had happened, he immediately called Mose and scolded him. You little bastard, he shouted. You're always causing trouble for me. I'm warning you that if you don't follow Mr. Wilson's instructions, you can forget about your stake in the corporation. After hanging up the phone, the bitterness on Mose's face became even more apparent. However, he also understood his father's feelings. Although he resented his request, Henry nor his father could be refused. After taking a deep breath, he decided to face it. Clenching his jaw and closing his eyes, he turned to Fraser and said, Fraser, on behalf of the Philly group, I apologize for any grievances we have caused. I thank you for your outstanding contribution, and I hope you will stay with us and close more sales for the company. While the employees present didn't dare to do so, the customers all picked up their phones to record the scene. Soon, their social media accounts were filled with clips and information about what had happened at the Philly group that day. Before long, everyone was talking about how an executive of the Philly group had been forced to apologize to a sales representative. Fraser sneered as he took off his work badge and threw it at Mose's face. Sorry, but this place is too small for me, and the people here are too petty and spiteful, so I have no interest in staying here any longer. When Natalia looked at Fraser, she saw that he seemed as if he didn't care about anyone there, and she was surprised at the change in him. Those who had jeered previously kept quiet, as if they were afraid. Fraser reached out and touched Natalia's chin affectionately, smiled and asked, What about you? Do you want to come with me? She nodded, but then remembered that there were still customers who needed to speak to her. So she said, I still have some clients to deal with. All right, Fraser said. I'll pick you up at the end of the day. All right. As she watched him walk away, she steeled her resolve and stood up straight. Then, with trembling hands, she sent a message to a good friend. He really didn't lie to me this time, and I got a surprise that was both wonderful and shocking. Natalia realized that she had lost her composure. She pursed her lips and looked at Mose, who was staring at her gloomily. He looked like a hungry wolf watching a lamb running away, full of disappointment and anger. Without bothering to say another word to him, she turned around and walked away. It was obvious that the sale of 100 properties by her husband had given her quite a bit of confidence. Mose was so angry that he felt like he was going crazy. He threw a coffee cup against the wall, smashing it into pieces, then left the office in frustration and drove to a bar. Once there, he opened his phone and checked what was happening on social media. He saw that it was full of information about him. Whenever he read a comment that mocked him, he would down another shot of whiskey. After a while, he had consumed a large amount of alcohol, and his entire body was muddled, while his mood had only grown worse. You little bastard, Fraser, he muttered. You piece of trash. You got lucky with Henry. But just wait. They said I wanted to sleep with your wife, so I will. There's no woman in San Clemente who I can't sleep with. After cursing for a while longer, he gritted his teeth, and with a fierce look in his eyes, he found a number on his phone and called it. The call connected quickly. Mose cleared his throat and stood up straight, as if he were being very respectful to the person on the other end of the phone. Hello, Mr. Mendez?
It's Mose Ferlin of the Philly Group. I had a meal with you recently.
Mr. Fairlin, you're quite popular at the moment.
The man on the other end of the call laughed. Hearing the sarcasm in the man's voice, Mose tried hard not to flare up. After a moment, he got to the point and said, Gary, I want to ask you to help me deal with a woman. You can name your price, and I won't haggle with you. At the same moment, in a rather classy coffee shop, Fraser took a sip of his coffee. He glanced at Henry, who was standing beside him, and said, Mr. Wilson, sit down. It's uncomfortable for me to talk to you while you're standing. Henry sat down, and Fraser said, I don't want to reveal my identity yet.
I understand, Mr. Macklemore. Don't worry about that. Just tell me what you need me to do.
Fraser said, There are 3 things I need you to do right now. First, I want you to arrange for my wife to join your company, and for her to be protected.
No problem, said Henry. I'll call the personnel department right away.
Wait. Don't make it too obvious. With her skills, she'll definitely pass the interview.
That's fine.
Second, I want you to find a house for me as soon as possible. It has to be fairly luxurious.
Okay, Mr. Macklemore. I think I have just the place for you already. I can transfer it to you immediately, but it's in the process of being renovated, and it will take another 2 weeks to have it ready.
2 weeks, Fraser thought. I expect that James will have a lot of preparations to make before he gets married. He probably won't be able to do it in a short period, so 2 weeks might be okay. 2 weeks is okay with me, he said. All right. The third thing is that I want you to transfer some money to me. $1.5 million should do for now. For the past 3 years, Fraser had experienced how awful it was for a man to have no money.
I already have it ready for you, Henry said.
He smiled and took out a black card from his pocket.
Mr. Macklemore, there's $15 million on this card. Use it, and if that's not enough, ask me for more.
Fraser was a little surprised. As he took the card, he thought that he had really underestimated Henry. He's just spent more than $140 million to buy real estate. And now he casually offers another $15 million, he thought. He really does deserve the title of leading businessman in San Clemente. Fraser said, I'll be leaving then, and I'll contact you if there's anything else I need to say. Also, I'll say a few good words to the old man when I get back. With that, Fraser got up and left while Henry looked humbled. There was a time when he had been in dire straits, and it was because of the old man's help that he had gained everything that he had. Because of that, he was very clear about the power the old man and the entire family behind him possessed. The word enormous wasn't enough to describe it. As Natalia left the sales office of the Philly Group